There's a small city in the Czech Republic called Ostrava. Industrial, gray, quiet in the way that broken places are quiet. If you were to test the wastewater flowing beneath its streets, you'd find something extraordinary. Not extraordinary good, extraordinary terrifying. 684 milligrams of methamphetamine per 1,000 people per day. The highest concentration in all of Europe. And Ostrava isn't alone. Brno, České Budějovice, Prague, city after city across the Czech Republic, all drowning in the same invisible tide. This is the story of how a drug we thought belonged to American trailer parks and Breaking Bad plot lines has quietly become one of Europe's most pressing threats. And you probably didn't even know it was happening. Methamphetamine, crystal meth, ice. In Czech, they call it pervitin, a name that echoes back to World War II, when German soldiers used it to march longer, fight harder, stay awake through the horrors they were creating. That history never really left Central Europe. It just went underground, mutated, and waited. Today, nearly 90% of all methamphetamine labs busted by European law enforcement are found in the Czech Republic. 90%. Think about that. Hundreds of small kitchens, rural backyards, crumbling farm buildings, all cooking the drug that's eating away at communities from the inside out. They call it the worker's drug here, the thing that keeps manual laborers going through impossible shifts, the thing that costs less than cocaine and lasts longer than any other high, the thing that, somewhere along the way, stopped being a tool and became a trap. And here's where the story gets darker, because this isn't just a Czech problem anymore. In Belgium and the Netherlands, something has changed. European producers have started collaborating with Mexican cartels, the same groups that turned methamphetamine into an apocalypse across the American Southwest. Dutch expertise in industrial-scale drug production, meeting Mexican know-how in meth chemistry. The result? Massive laboratories, sophisticated operations, output that rivals anything seen in North America. In 2020, authorities dismantled labs in Belgium and the Netherlands unlike anything Europe had seen before. Not kitchen operations, industrial sites, producing methamphetamine by the ton. And that drug has to go somewhere. Walk through the streets of any European city at night, and you probably won't see it. That's the insidious part. Methamphetamine doesn't announce itself the way heroin did in the 1970s or cocaine did in the 80s. It's quieter. It moves through wastewater data, through emergency room statistics, through treatment centers, seeing more and more patients arriving hollow-eyed and skeletal, their teeth rotting, their skin covered in sores they can't stop picking at. In 2022 alone, nearly 500 deaths across Europe involve stimulants like methamphetamine, often mixed with opioids. Germany reported 476 cases. These aren't just numbers. These are fathers who never came home. Young women found in apartments after days of silence. Workers who thought they could control it. The drug destroys in ways that are almost Victorian in their brutality. Users lose weight until their bodies look like architectural drawings. Bones, joints, hollow spaces where softness used to be. They can't sleep, sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks. Psychosis sets in. Hallucinations. Paranoia. The sense that insects are crawling under your skin. And then the heart problems, the strokes, the catastrophic cardiovascular events that can kill you in your 20s. But maybe the cruelest thing about methamphetamine is how it destroys time itself. Users will tell you it makes everything feel urgent, immediate, possible. You can work forever. You can stay awake forever. You could be more than you are. Until suddenly, years have passed. And you look in the mirror, if you can bear to, and realize the person staring back is unrecognizable. Now, here's what should terrify us. The production isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. In 2023, authorities seized 37 tons of precursor chemicals for synthetic cathinones, a class of drugs that can substitute for meth. That's up from 27 tons the year before and just 4.5 tons in 2021. These numbers don't represent enforcement success. They represent a market exploding in real time. And Europe is struggling to respond. Health services designed for heroin users, for cocaine users, don't always know what to do with meth addicts. The treatment protocols are different. The withdrawal is different. These users inject more frequently than heroin users, sometimes dozens of times a day, meaning they need more needles, more resources, more support just to reduce the harm while they're still using. Many countries simply aren't equipped. Meanwhile, the drug is spreading. Wastewater analysis shows methamphetamine is no longer confined to the Czech Republic and Slovakia. It's showing up in Belgium, Cyprus, Eastern Germany, Spain, Turkey. Nordic countries like Denmark, Latvia, Lithuania, Finland, Norway, all reporting rising levels. Of 58 European cities monitored between 2020 and 2021, roughly half saw increases in methamphetamine residues. The drug is doing what drugs do. It's following the architecture of opportunity. Precursor chemicals flow in from China. Mexican expertise arrives in shipping containers. Dutch logistics networks, already perfected for moving MDMA and amphetamine, adapt seamlessly. The drug gets packaged, hidden in pontoons specially designed to avoid border detection, shipped across continents, sold through encrypted messaging apps, delivered like pizza to people who think they're just trying to get through another shift, another day, another moment of their increasingly impossible lives. And that's the thing that haunts me about this story. Because methamphetamine isn't just a drug problem. It's a symptom of something larger, a world where people feel they need chemical assistance just to keep up, to keep going, to keep existing in economies that demand everything and offer less and less in return. The Czech National Center for Drug Monitoring says it clearly. Pervitin presents an exceptionally big problem, but exceptional doesn't quite capture it. This is a crisis unfolding in slow motion, hidden in plain sight, killing people in ways that don't make headlines until it's too late. Here's what we know. Production continues, both for domestic demand and export to more profitable markets outside Europe. But that production creates availability, and availability creates use, and use creates addiction, and addiction creates the kind of human devastation that echoes through generations. In villages across the Czech Republic, entire communities are hooked. In cities across Europe, emergency rooms are seeing more methamphetamine-related crises. In policy rooms in Brussels, officials are trying to figure out how to respond to a threat that evolves faster than regulations can be written. And somewhere tonight, in a small lab in rural Czechia, or a sophisticated operation in the Netherlands, or a shipping container arriving at Rotterdam or Hamburg, methamphetamine is being made. Cooked, packaged, prepared for a market that grows larger every day. The question isn't whether Europe has a methamphetamine problem anymore. The question is whether Europe will wake up to the scale of it before it's too late. Before more cities show up in wastewater analyses with numbers that should be impossible. Before more families lose someone they love to a drug that promises everything and takes everything in return. Because right now, while you're listening to this, that tide is rising. And it's rising fast.